Okay. Rachel, what about you?
No, I would not consider myself a feminist.
Why is that?
Because I think that patriarchy is the natural order of things and it's inescapable. And if you want to try to be a feminist, you're going to have a really hard time because it's simply not actually possible for us to have anything besides a patriarchy. And we can get into why that is if anybody wants to.
Does anybody have any qualms with...
Can you define patriarchy for those that don't know?
Sure. Yeah, patriarchy literally just means rule by the father.
Awesome.
So it just generally means men are the rulers and organizers in the home, in society, in the church, in the government.
And this has implications. I mean, we're a dating talk show, but this absolutely has implications when it comes to dating, gender roles, that sort of thing. Someone who's a bit more feminist might prefer a bit more of an egalitarian relationship, 50-50, that sort of thing. So, or at least that's what it would appear to be. She's for patriarchy. Hot take from Rachel here. Does anybody here object to Rachel's position?
So I don't know if I object, but I want to bring up a point. Does everybody know who Lilith is?
Yes, she's in my book.
How I love this. How do you feel about period? How do you feel about her?
Lilith?
She's a demon, so
I
think she's a vengeful goddess figure. Feminists love her. She tends to be a feminist icon because she takes vengeance on men. She sometimes SAs them in their sleep and then murders their babies, the offspring.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Is this like, I don't know, Diablo 4? Is it Diablo 4? Is that the one from
Diablo?
Diablo?
Yeah.
The game?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's kind of hot, not gonna lie.
Yeah, she bites men's heads off
They're
pretty
always
much.
hot.
So.
Yeah, they're always hot.
But basically, the idea behind her, I guess, was that she was the first. I like the story about her. But now it's funny. Let me just say this: she was there before Eve. It was Adam and Lilith. She's made out of the same stuff as Adam, and she was like, "Why do I have to submit to you if we're made out of the same stuff?" And then she left the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, she would not get underneath Adam.
Yeah.
And so she flew off into the sky and then down into the ocean, and they tried to bring her back, and there's like a whole lore behind it. They think that the legend was actually like post-Christianity, more of a like first few centuries after Christianity, Judaism type of a lore where it came from, but depends how you feel about that. But why do you think that she's cool? Like, what do you like about her?
So I'll say this. One, I have a song called Lilith. It's actually, there's a music video and everything. But I actually do feel different about it now. I'm kind of going through this phase where I was in my toxic relationship and I was in a stage where I wanted to free myself. And like, I understood that, like, why am I submitting to someone that I don't feel is a leader? I'll say that. But now that I think about it, it's like there are men that are leaders. And if you put yourself in that position, it's a different woman. But the woman that I felt that I related to was her because I was in a situation where I'm like, I shouldn't submit to this man.
Why did you not want to submit to that guy? What was it about him?
He didn't feel like I didn't respect him enough.
Why?
Because he was almost like full of air. I'll give you that. Where it's like he felt as though he was more respectable than he actually was.
So do you feel like he wasn't responsible, or he didn't have his stuff together, or like
that? Just kind of flying off the rails all the time.
Oh, not in control of his emotions. Yeah. That'll dry your panties up quick.
Very much so. I said, I'm gonna leave this garden. Yeah. So I felt that.
Because why? That's like female energy, right? A guy who is not in control of his emotions and he's up and down and all over the place, kind of like we are.
Right.
It's not a good
feeling like we're made out of the same stuff.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. So that's why we say no simping, boys. Don't do it.
Let me ask this question from a dating lens. So I think most of you identified as feminist, if I recall.
I said 50-50.
50-50, I think you said yes. Yes, I think no. No? Okay. And then yes for you two. Would you date a guy who is not a feminist, starting with you?
Yeah.
Wait, into the mic, please.
Sorry. Yes. Just hearing like the definitions that you guys have for it is like making me think of it differently, because the definition that I had was literally just, I just don't want to conform to having to listen to somebody that is not going to listen to me, or like allowing somebody to lead that isn't actually a leader but just feels like they're a leader, you know. Like, I want to still make my own decisions and stuff like that, and have like a brain of my own and not be like a brainless bimbo. Like, that's what I was thinking it was. But
Okay. So what made you feel like it's a different definition? Like, why do you feel like that might be different now?
well, I do understand that men are leaders. Like, I have a really healthy relationship with my father. That's my best friend. And then just the things that I've been through, just putting it into perspective, like, that's not somebody that I would want to allow to lead me. But if I found somebody that was a leader, then I would allow them to.
Wait, did you say your dad is not somebody or he is somebody?
No, he is. I'm saying
Okay.
just like the things that I've been through in like relationships and stuff. Like, if I found somebody that was actually a leader, then I would like.
So what kind of qualities, like what would you be looking for in somebody who you felt was worth like submitting to?
Someone that would be able to like take care of me in the aspects of emotionally, and take care of things like rent and stuff like that, and not feel like they want to go 50-50 with me. I'm not into that at all.
So this is a common thing I've seen, and I want to ask you guys, do you guys think that what you want, would you say what you want is you want the man to lead when it comes to doing difficult, dangerous, dirty things, paying bills, dealing with really awful situations, then he can lead. But if you're just in your feelings about something, you just want to do what you want to do, then you don't want him to lead. Because I feel like that's a really common thing.
Okay. Well, I feel like, see, for me, like, I'm a singer, so I'm always out, like, I'm networking and stuff like that. So I feel like I just have to be with somebody that would also be okay with me being out a lot and stuff like that, like, and just supporting the things that I want to do.
So if you had a future partner that asked you to give up your singing and like raise your children, would you not do that?
I mean, I would still raise my children, but I wouldn't give up what I love to do for anybody.
Okay. Could you still sing though and not be trying to like necessarily make money in it? Like, could
Right.
you sing for yourself, for your family? You could sing at church, you could sing on Instagram, but maybe not be out at clubs networking all the time because you're at home with your kids?
I feel like when I really make a name for myself, I wouldn't have to really network like that all the time. But I feel like it's just certain things that I'm just not willing to budge on. I just feel like my life is still going to be my life, and I'm going to take care of the things that I'm supposed to take care of. But like, if my partner doesn't want me to do something that I love, then I feel like that's not the person for me.
So do you not believe in like sacrificing in a relationship or anything like that? Like, do you feel that the person that you meet, how do I phrase this? Are you selfishly driven? Like, is it everything that you care about has to come first, or would you sacrifice in a relationship?
It just depends on what is being sacrificed, because I understand that in a relationship there is a lot of give and take on both ends. So, but for me, it's just when it comes to something that genuinely makes me happy and stuff like that, like there's gonna be late nights where I'm in the studio and you're probably not even gonna believe where I am or whatever, stuff like that, like that happens, and I just feel like I'm not gonna budge on certain things.
So you just told us a whole kind of story about what your life's been like so far and what your
Change the
relationships
split.
have been like so far, and it's been super volatile. You've had, would you say it's correct to say that you've had like no stability, no sense of peace, predictability, calm, like continuous like predictability in your relationships? It's been very all over the place.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like the only real good relationship that I did have was my ex that passed away. So, and I feel like I was able to submit to him in ways like he took care of me emotionally very well and stuff like that. But we were young, like really young. There was no way that we could take care of each other in any other way and stuff like that. We couldn't see each other all the time and things like that either. Like we're both in school.
So you realize that if you get the kind of guy you're saying you want, the kind of man who is going to create stability and continuity in your life, predictability, he's going to handle the business, he's going to pay the bills, he's going to make sure there aren't people coming in, because you seem like a very sensitive and kind of emotional type of person, which is fine. You're a woman. There's reasons that we're like that. If you're going to be a mother, that's a good quality. But that's why you need a man who is like strong, steady, stable, and going to provide the stability. You realize he can't do that if you're going to say to him, I just feel like I need to be able to do what I feel like is gonna make me happy. If you are chasing that, you're never gonna have that stability and that continuity that you've been looking for, right? Like if you're chasing feelings, he's not going to be able to, you're going to constantly be butting heads with him and you're not going to be able to have that.
Well, could I interject for a second?
Sure.
I find a lot of men have a lot of feelings too. I mean, not to say there aren't strong men, of course there are. But you know, I dated a man who was not a feminist, and he was more in his feelings than he liked to admit, I think. And it showed. And
how did it show?
I mean, he was insecure enough that he sought validation in other women. So.
Okay.
Wait, so it's not good to be an emotional man then?
Well, I mean, because he didn't express that he was insecure, that he would bottle them up and not communicate to me what he was feeling, and then we'd argue. And he still wouldn't express all those things until something had already happened.
Now, did he tell you why he didn't express his feelings to you? Like whatever the dissatisfaction was that he said made him cheat, did he tell you why he felt like he couldn't talk to you about it, or?
I mean, I would ask. And, you know, he'd be like, well, I didn't feel validated because he's like, you're not giving me enough compliments or something like that. I'm like, I feel like I give you a lot of compliments, but, you know, I'll try more, and it still didn't stop things from happening. And that, of course, that conversation happened after he had already like done something, and so these are conversations that need to happen beforehand.
So what it sounds like to me is that he didn't have strong enough boundaries to begin with, because if he was like a man who had strong boundaries, like my husband, if he was not happy, he wouldn't just like go cheat. He'd be like, this is what I expect, and this is what my needs are, and if you can't meet that,
he would. He did. He gave me a bunch of boundaries and morals, as he put it, and I would either abide or compromise on them, because you know I believe that we need to have those conversations. But then he's like, whatever moral I set for you is also set for me. But then. Okay. Obviously these things happened.
So what was it that he came to you and said, this is my boundary, that you felt like some of the things you respected and other things you compromised on? Like, can you give me any specific examples?
For example, let's see. He didn't want me to go out to the clubs with friends or whatever. Not that I was ever a very partying person. But because I did it, maybe.
SJVC trains hundreds of nurses each year, empowering them to make a difference in health.
Once in a month, he was like, that's too much. I'm like, well, I'm going to be surrounded with friends. He's like, I got to be there. And then I'm like, okay, hey, do you want to go with us? And be like, I don't want to go. And I was like, okay, well. And I'm like, well, then can I go with the friends? Right? No. And so one time he was like, okay, you can go this one time. And it's just stuff like that.
Okay.
And another time, okay, he didn't want me to hang out with this guy friend I had for a very long time. I mean, I knew for 10 years, and I knew he wouldn't do ever anything. I mean, he's more into guys than he's ever into women. And,
wait, he was like, like he was homosexual?
Yeah. He's bi.
Okay.
But he is definitely more into men. So and I was like, hey, I'm gonna hang out with him. I even, communicated with him beforehand. I'm like, you gave me permission to hang out with this person before, so I am now communicating to you. This is someone I'm going to hang out with today. And he got really upset by that. And he was like, well, you didn't say it would be at, their place. I'm like, yeah, but all their siblings are there.
So, I mean, like, did he say you hanging out with other dudes, regardless of their sexual orientation, is a deal breaker for me? Like, did he tell you that?
Well, we, went through my friends list, and I was like, well, how do you feel about this person? How do you feel about that person? And I'm like, how do you feel about new people coming in? So we'd have those conversations.
So if he had said that, if he had said, look, if I'm going to be in a relationship with you, I don't want you hanging out with dude friends without me. Like, if it's couples and we're hanging out together, that's fine. Or if we're in a group and there's guys in the group, that's fine. Yeah. But I don't want you to, like, go off with your guy friend. How would you have reacted to that?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I didn't like it. I didn't. But that was one of the compromises.
So do you think you'd be attracted to a guy who had no problem with you hanging out with other dudes? Do you think that you would still be attracted and, like, want a guy like that?
I don't think I'd do it again. Because, I know the friends I've made, and I've not had a problem.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I feel like it all just comes down to trust. Like, if you and your partner have an understanding of, like, you wouldn't be doing anything if I'm not there, I'm not going to do anything if you're not there, or just, like, that understanding, it shouldn't be an issue if you want to hang out with your friends.
I think that's lies that women tell themselves so that they can do what they want, to be honest.
If I trust you.
That women tell themselves so that they can do what they want, to be honest.
If I trust you.
Because if you're in a committed relationship, and if the purpose of the relationship is eventually marriage, which seems like you guys, even though you have very loose, like, boundaries about relationships, like you're very open and you're really modern about things, like everybody kind of says they want to get married at a certain point. So it's like you're all saying, I want a strong man who's going to lead, who's got his shit together, who isn't in his feelings, who has, if he has a boundary, he's going to be upfront, he's not going to violate it later. Yeah. But then on the other hand, you're like, but I also want him to let me hang out with my guy friends, and I want him to be okay with me dabbling with women, and I want him to let me do what I want when I want. Do you see, like, where I'm going with it? How it sounds like you guys kind of want the strong guy who's going to hold it together, but you also want him to, like, let you do whatever you want.
Well, let me ask you this. Why does a man, not wanting you to hang out with a guy friend equate to a strong man? Why does that make him a strong man?
Why do I need a leash?
Well, it depends. Do you want him hanging out with women when you're not there?
I didn't care if he communicated. Yeah.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I pay attention to what women do, not what they say. So, if you say, I'm fine with my boyfriend going off and hanging out with his girl who's a friend, it doesn't bother me. What I'm hearing is, that's not a guy you really want. That's not a guy that you're actually into, who really, like...
Maybe you're speaking for yourself, but for me, it's not what happened. I loved him. I wanted a whole future with him.
But not enough to not hang out with the guy friends. Right. But not enough to
remember, I compromised. I didn't hang out with guy friends unless he said, this is okay. Period. And I even went out of my way. I'm like, hey, meet them. Assess them for yourself.
Right, I agree.
And, yeah.
Oh, I have a question. Yeah. So you said that your most recent boyfriend cheated on you. I'm curious, did he cheat on you with a woman or with a man? Because you said he's bi, right?
No, that was the friend.
Wait.
The guy friend I have, that's not my boy, or ex, I should say. Yeah.
I thought you were dating a bi. It sounded like you were dating a guy who's bi. Okay.
Supposed to hang out with the bi friend.
Okay, all right, never mind. Go ahead, continue with your...
So, yeah, we compromised. And so, I was even saying, hey, meet these friends, assess for yourself, tell me who you're comfortable with, etc. Because I don't want to be disrespectful. I get we have our differences, and I want to respect that. But, and he said this person in particular was okay. And so I was going to hang out with them. And then he got upset. And then I get a message from him saying...
Wait, why did he get upset?
don't know.
Was it the case that you kind of pushed and pushed and pushed until he accepted and he was like, fine, you can hang out with the one guy, I guess, because he's mostly gay? Like, was it kind of like that, or was it? Or was he like, oh no, Joey is fine, hang out with Joey all you want, and then he just randomly got upset for no reason? Or?
No, I mean, this was something we agreed to for a long time, and it finally came down. And mind you, the whole hangout that was supposed to happen was supposed to be kind of just professional. I was helping him with a film project. And yes, it was gonna be at his home, but he has this home with a bunch of other siblings, and it wasn't just gonna be him. And I wasn't going to his room. I have never been in his room, actually. And
So why did he get upset is what I'm trying to
because he wasn't aware at the time that I was going to the apartment. Okay, sure, I didn't say that. But I mean, I explained the situation to him, and he was still upset. And then he was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna hang out with a friend. I'm like, friend, define friend. And so he said it was a woman. I was like, okay, what's her name? Her name was Hannah. And then I was like, I've never heard you mention her before. And he's like, oh yeah, I met her yesterday at Journeys. She was helping me buy a shoe. I'm like, and suddenly this is a friend you're gonna hang out with one-on-one. And he's like, yeah, you shouldn't have a problem with that. You got to hang out with your friend. I'm like, that's different. That's a total stranger. You don't know her. I don't know her.
So it sounds to me like he was trying to give you a taste of your own medicine so you could feel how he was
But it's a
feeling.
total stranger that he had never even really met.
Maybe it was, but I mean, statistically, you're more likely
Here's the
to
thing.
cheat with a guy who's your friend.
Sure,
And men
I
know this.
I understand
They
that.
know
True.
this, yeah.
I'm not going to disagree. It's if you know someone who's familiar, it does make it easier.
Yeah.
You know, but in this case, yeah, it was a total stranger, and I know he was trying to give me a taste of my own medicine, but you know, it's a completely different situation. I know my friend for 10 years. This is someone he met yesterday, and this is someone that we had a communication about. This is someone we never spoke about, never even knew, and so it's those kind of things. If that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, makes sense. I feel like it's a situation that completely could have been avoided, though. And I think that if you are trying to date someone seriously, you shouldn't be hanging out with people of the opposite sex, period. It doesn't matter.
I will say I personally have never hung out with a guy friend one-on-one when I'm in a relationship. I don't do that. But what I will say is that if I have a guy friend that I knew before my relationship and I introduce them and we hang out together, I think that is fine.